Okay, why don't we get started? Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. My name is Matt Scudera, and along with my colleague, Mike Bevilacqua, we want to welcome you to today's webinar. We're excited to have you with us. A couple of quick housekeeping pieces before we get started. First of all, today's session is being recorded. It's being recorded so we can share that back with you, along with a copy of the deck, so you have that for your reference. Again, if you want to review the webinar, you'll have the link. And if you want to share it internally, you can do the same thing. In addition to that, we'd love to have questions, and you can submit your questions through the Q&A function through Zoom. So it's either on your toolbar as you mouse over your screen, or if you look at the three buttons that say more, there is the ability to submit questions through there. We would love to have questions, and we're going to be answering those at the end of today's session. So please don't be shy, submit some questions. We'd love to get the answers back to you. And finally, there will be a small survey at the end of today's webinar. It's very short, takes less than a minute to respond to it. It allows you to evaluate and share with us your thoughts on the topic for today, as well as share with us anything that's important to you so we can make sure that we get to it at a future date for you. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mike Bevilacqua, and he has some additional comments to share, and then we'll get started with today's webinar.
Well, thanks, Matt, and welcome to today's webinar. We're really delighted to have you join, listen, and learn about how AI agents are reshaping accounts receivable and credit operations. We have an executive from Growfin with us today to share how AI is reshaping AR and credit operations. AR teams today operate with more data and better systems than ever before. Yet many organizations still rely on manual follow-ups, fragmented workflows, and reactive collections processes that slow down cash conversion and limit visibility into payment risk. Agentic AI is reshaping how credit and receivables teams approach collections, dispute management, and cash forecasting. We have Timothy Ray, Vice President of Global Sales at Growfin, where he leads the company's global go-to-market and revenue strategy, driving rapid growth in AI-powered order-to-cash solutions. With a proven track record across leading fintech organizations, including SideTrade, HighRadius, Reba, and Remilia, Tim brings deep expertise in SaaS, complex enterprise sales, and scaling high-performance teams. He is known for his ability to navigate large, complex organizations, deliver consistent results, and help finance leaders unlock working capital through smarter credit and AR strategies. Before we turn it over to Tim, I wanted to share an upcoming webinar, The Real-Time CFO, How AP/AR Automation Defines Finance Leadership in 2026. We're going to have Quadient here Tuesday, May 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. To give you a little background, in 2026, the CFO shifts from reporting the past to acting on real-time cash intelligence. AP and AR are becoming more strategic engines, delivering continuous liquidity and risk signals. So mark that on your calendar, as well as the upcoming August forum in Denver, Colorado, August 10th through the 13th, or actually the 12th, for a must-attend forum designed for today's credit and revenue cycle leaders, alongside an expo featuring the industry's leading service providers. Growfin will be there. Sessions will span the full spectrum from first and third-party collections, best practice to evolving impact of private credit and economic pressure on receivables. Practitioners will share proven strategies on hiring the right skill sets, including grit and strengthen your influence in critical areas such as transition, service agreements. Building on last year's risk mitigation program, we're again offering a dedicated educational certificate program, this year focused on transformational initiatives, and the session will cover AI applications, change management, and how to build a credible, career-enhancing business case that stands up to executive scrutiny, all designed to elevate your impact. Now I'd like to turn it over to Tim.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike and Matt. Appreciate the introduction. I didn't even know I was capable of all that stuff till you read it. Appreciate it. And I also like to thank everybody for attending today's session. I know everybody's busy, has a lot to do, and it's hard to take the time out to spend this an hour, um, you know, learning about some other technology and how to improve your order to cash departments. But I really do appreciate it. So I'm going to start off and kick off the meeting with a quote by Deloitte. Deloitte is talking about, did a survey that cost controls and cash management are now top priorities for CFOs. With 84% of CFOs that were polled expect rising cost pressures over the next year. Not surprising, right? I think a lot of people see that. That is a lot of pressure to put on finance teams and corporations. Financial leadership's that's being pushed to deliver more with less margins for error, right? And why is that? It's no surprise. I think all of you guys work in this area and understand the pressures that you're under, but working capital efficiency and liquidity is a top priority for boards, for companies in general, especially with the increased cost of capital that people are seeing. Finance teams must scale without adding headcount. How many people are hearing that today? Almost every company I'm in needs to are fast growing companies that need to scale, and they're told they can't add more people. So added pressure there. And then predictability and accuracy in forecasting your cash, that's a must, and an important lever that people are looking at. And managing risk in real time, being proactive, decisioning, understand the exposure and risk you have in your organization, and then how to actually uh, implement AI. I think everybody wants to do it, and it's a buzzword, and everybody's talking about it. We are today on this presentation, but how to actually do it right and get the most out of adopting artificial intelligence into your financial streams is a must too, because there's a lot of ways to do it, and what is going to give you the best return, what is the easiest way to get there. And I hope we can provide some guidance today on how to solve that problem. So we're going to kick that off right from the start with a survey question, and I'll turn it over to Matt here to do this poll, and then we'll continue on.
Good. Thank you, Tim. And why don't we throw out the first question in our webinar poll today? And the question is this: what is the single biggest pressure your AR and credit team is facing today? There are a couple of choices down there, and we'd love for you to submit your answers, and we'll share the results.
I would assume that most people have these pressures, don't you?
Tim, I would think so on every one of these. Tough to choose which one's the most important.
Absolutely.
But we're going to give it about another 10 seconds or so. A couple answers still coming in. Yeah, number of questions. Okay, well, it's going to end it, but I see a number of people still responding.
Yeah, it's good to have a lot of interaction, make sure everybody's still awake.
It is great. It is great. Good. Let's end the poll and let's share the results. And number one out there for folks with 51% cash flow predictability and DSO pressure. Boy, have we heard that on CRF side over the last 60 to 90 days has been really the number one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, right? I mean, cash flow predictability and DSO pressures. I think everybody's under that pressure uh, to increase their metrics, reduce DSO, and get more cash flow into the business. So, not surprised by that. But it's also followed up by scale and operations. I mean, that's also without adding headcount being a secondary one. And then I'm sure there's plenty of other pressures with managing risk and fragmented, systems across the order to cash process. But appreciate the interaction.
Good. We're going to stop sharing at this point. Turn it back to you, Tim.
All right, thank you. All right, so what's happening? Why are financial professionals under so much pressure? The modern financial model really is expecting more of financial leaders. They expect speed, predictability, scale, real-time visibility, and that's easy things to say and demand of the finance teams. But why is it hard to achieve? It's hard to achieve because teams are really working in siloed processes, even though it's an order to cash or their financial model in general, has a lot of functions to it. most of these teams are acting independently with limited shared visibility to other groups within even your own financial teams, let alone across the whole business that need to help solve these problems. That also leads to fragmented data because all the data is residing in siloed systems, right? So, and those systems have only grown in recent years of how many different applications there are to help along these processes, but each one of those being, you know, your data only residing in those systems and not communicating across your entire financial model. And then we see just a lot of reactivity in the industry. It's periodic reviews, working with old data, reviewing data, seeing how we can maybe change it in the future, but it's not real time analysis of that data, real time understanding of the problem and changing on the fly. And then there's still a lot of manual execution and workflows, really relying a lot on human intervention in the process to get these complex financial tasks completed. And then we're still seeing a lot of the static rules. And these are common among traditional systems out there, but the rule-based systems that don't change and evolve on the fly based on performance and real-time events. So you've got a hard job. It's not an easy thing to do, right? And when you have all of these challenges, so you have all these challenges, but you're also supposed to be fast, predictable, scale, and do it in real time. The task is big. And where are all these pressures coming from? We just did a survey where working capital, it's one of the biggest pressures that financial people are under. You also, at the same time, trying to manage your risk, forecast your cash accurately. And, while you're doing all of this, you're also supposed to keep your customers happy, right? And smiling and doing business with you. And in the middle of all of that is your credit and AR teams, right? And that's the main functions that we're going to kind of focus on today. And see how we can help you, improve these areas. Gartner did a study here since 2023. Demand for AI and credit and AR has grown threefold, 3 times increase in the demand or need for it. But again, where do you do it? So it's driven by an increase in pressure from financial leaders to improve cash flow, risk, and operational efficiencies. But again, with all of these pressures, when and how do you make that happen? And what are the best avenues to do so? So here's some other things we have. If you really look at the burden under modern credit teams, again, you have a lot of data available, but you have data limitations of missing financials, fragmented customers information, delayed external bureau and financial updates. Then burden that with manual analysis. So you got all of this data. Now I have to make sense of it. So, spreadsheet analysis, manual financials, spreading, repetitive reviews. Then you have to go and look at different silos of information and risk monitoring, right? Looking at your portfolio, how do I assess my risk? How do I know when to review them, when to take action? And then, you have a lot of long review chains, leadership approvals, bottlenecks. And all of this is while you're trying to get the pressure from your salespeople to pressure you to approve credit lines and so they can sell and do more business and increase revenue from sales. But, all revenue and sales doesn't always turn into, cash flow for the business, right? So I think most people know that. So these are the compounding pressures that limit the team's ability to do all the things that's necessary and increase the speed, visibility, and precision that's needed, right? Now let's drill into just a little bit more of what's in the center of these groups, and that's the order to cash or AR processes. That process in general, it's not getting easier either. Billing structures, I think all of you know that billing structures are getting more complex, right? The type of billing and invoices and hybrid invoices, subscription based, that's only become more complex, adding to the challenge. Payment terms are getting more dynamic. Salespeople are offering extended terms. There's prompt pay discounts. There's all kinds of different things going into the payment terms offered. And then payment channels are not easier. I remember there used to just be a paper check and a remit that went through a lockbox, and at least they were coupled together, right? Or the bank could key them and send them in to be posted. Well, the promise of EFTs or ACH and wires was supposed to make everything easier, and it's really not. It's made it much more difficult because now you get a payment only to your bank, and now the remittance advice is no longer with that. It's being emailed in separately. Where you have to go through a whole list of inboxes to find the right remit. And then I have to make sure I even receive the payment or I have the payment or can find the right payer to match the remit to and then manually apply cash. So that's it definitely increased the cash application challenge. But when cash applications challenge, everything downstream from it is challenged as well. Even in confidence in collections and other things to do when you're not applying cash efficiently, it's hard to rely and be confident to call customers and ask them for money if it's in your process somewhere, right? And then the system of records. Well, as we talked about earlier, there's more and more systems that's been applied to these areas, and they're siloed, not communicating to each other. You have CRMs, ERPs, billing systems, spreadsheets, BI tools, banking portals. You can go on and on and on. So these are all adding to just specifically the order to cash challenge. In Yahoo Finance, I think this is important. You don't want to be in the last 25 percentile, right? The last 25 percentile is paying 3 times the cost of the top 25 percentile spend to collect on a single invoice or collect on an invoice. And then Kyndryl has a study, 71% of finance leaders either agree that AI adds value, but aren't ready to trust it completely or oppose AI, right? They just kind of lost it in the right ways to implement it. I hope some of these challenges ring true to what you're dealing with on a daily basis, and hopefully we can shed some light on how we can improve these processes as we go through this presentation. So what makes it worse? Credit and AR hold valuable data, right? There's a lot of information in your AR process that could really assist and help if it wasn't siloed, if it was, readily accessible, and you could make sense of it, and you had AI maybe helping you interpret it and tell you what you should do with all this data. But in the order to cash cycle, you have all kinds of information from credit scores and approval limits, industry segmentations and credit appetite, aging, DSO, portfolio deterioration, payment timing, deductions, promise to pay commitments. Are they being upheld? Are they being, broken? Disputes and volumes, who and why, and what are the sources for those disputes? Invoice accuracy, billing disputes, order frequency, order size, credit hold. This is all valuable information that could be used for predictability, for helping you collect faster, how you can work with your customers better. But all of these challenges result in real impact, right? This is real. It's not, people talk about DSO and increased cash flow, but it's actually real dollars. And when you really look at it, what could be done with that information or that cash flow, it's pretty critical. If you take an average company that's about $500 million in revenue, every 5 days of DSO is equal to $6.8 million in trapped cash. So that's why it's such a critical component to companies. It's funny, I was at a conference recently, a CFO summit, and there's about 70 CFOs in the room. And I asked them to raise your hands, how many believe cash flow is strategic to their business? And, like of utmost important in reducing DSO, and almost all of them raised their hands. And I followed up with the questions, how many actually invest in their order to cash departments like it's strategic? And only about 3 raised their hands. So then they had some smiles on their face and they're like, oh, that's a good point. Because of this is why it's important. So it's not, just numbers. It's not just, DSO. It means fewer investments in the, in the increase in your fleet, modernizing manufacturing lines, hiring additional people in engineering or in clinical trials. It's real cash could be used for expanding the business and making a real impact. So I think that brings us to what all of us need to ask, right? If you're running these departments and you're involved in your order to cash process, where do you think you reside on the maturity curve of your AR department? And again, I'm in the companies every day, right? And visiting people. And so where do we believe we are in the manual and reactive, where you're working on spreadsheets, still a lot of manual work and phone calls and dunning and emails? There's a lot of the companies I go into that are still in this phase. Or you've implemented some process, still some standardized processes, but very siloed into, people just doing collections, just doing cash app, or just doing credit, or, other components, but really poor collaboration between not only internally, but all other departments within your organizations. Maybe you're just sending emails waiting for somebody to get back to you on a dispute. and hard to track those emails and whether they've been followed up or how much money is tied up into those things. Then there's the companies that's automated and segmented, right? You've got good segmentation, you have some automation, but it's still rule based and it's still pretty reactive in nature. Or you're predictive, right? AI enabled. You're managing 90% of your payments. You can forecast. Most of your tasks are automated through agentic or automated workflows, and you're actually a predictive, can predict things, and you're no longer reactive but proactive in your order to cash department. This is where we want to help you get. This is where we we want everybody to kind of strive for, but this is something where we're really going to, you kind of got to look at it and say, if I'm not there yet, how do we get there? PwC quote here said AI driven finance is expected to cut costs by 25% of revenue while delivering productivity gains and profit gains from AI within 12 months. If we're not on that roadmap, we definitely want to help you get there, right? So I think with that, let's ask the questions. Let's do another survey and see where we are on these, where do organizations stand on adopting AI in their finance operations. I'll turn it back over to you.
Good. Let's go with our second polling question we have, Tim, and let's launch this right now. And the question is this: where does your organization stand on adopting AI in finance operations? Multiple choice. And you can see the choices out there. We'll give it about a minute or so, and then we'll share the results. I think most folks are going to be surprised at the answer here.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. I imagine it's all over the place, right?
Okay, I'm going to give it about another 15 seconds. I do see some people still submitting. Okay, let's end the poll at this point. And what surprised me was that the number one choice out there was running pilots, evaluating solutions. So it seems like a lot of folks, half the folks are engaged in where they're at as far as AI and finance operations.
All right. Most people are evaluating it, looking into it. There they are. There's the polling
There they are.
results. So running pilots and evaluating solutions. That's good. All right. So um, let's see, 24% actively deploying AI in production. Interested, but unsure where to start. You're not alone. You're not alone. That's a lot of people out there as well. Skeptical and not a priority. Well, I can see that, but I think a lot of areas are moving that way. So I would start investigating.
Good.
All
Tim, I'm
right.
going to stop sharing at this point. Turn it back to you.
All right. Sounds good. So top trends that will shape the future of credit to cash life cycles. I mean, these are the five main areas where I think we're seeing a lot of this interaction, a lot of the value being added. That's in autonomous credit scoring, really pulling in all the data points and setting up AI-enabled scoring cards where the information can come right into a system and it's automatically underwriting the customer for you, giving confidence into scoring and suggesting credit limits. The other big thing that I see helping all the time, and when I show it to people, they love it. It's conversational AR. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of information, but people don't know how to work with the information. So what? You get reports. Well, how does that report compare to last month or last quarter? Or what are my projections on this report? So I think the biggest trend is asking AI or asking the software or artificial intelligence anything you want to know. Why did my aging bucket change from last month to this month? And it could tell you why and what was the root cause of that without you have to go do a lot of search or manually comparing it, right? Root causes for disputes, right? Auto classifying disputes and recommending the right solutions to resolve them, not just showing you the information, but recommending the solutions or where you should go to try to solve these. Predictive collections. And what I mean by that is not all customers are the same. Using data and payment information and AI to underwrite customers and say, these are the ones that are very predictable. They always are going to pay at this point in time. Your actions that you do is not going to change your behavior, but at least they're predictable. And another set are unpredictable, right? So that's where you should be spending your time, on the unpredictable customers. So not wasting times or actions on the ones that we know their actions. And then touches cash application. Automating as much as you can, and AI is going to come a long way of making that more and more automated. Understanding when you handle exceptions that you only have to do it once because it learns that and will automatically look to solve problems the next time. Um, and Forrester even backs that up, right? Saying cash application is the highest highest AI maturity with reduction of up to 90% right now. So a lot of companies are on that roadmap already moved down the road of using some sort of AI automation for cash application. But these are the five main areas where we see this working quite a bit. And there's going to be much more than that as well. But these are kind of the low hanging fruits where you can get a lot of value out of implementing artificial intelligence. The paradigm shift really is how AI is defining credit and AR changes, right? There's really three main pillars. It's generative AI, and I've kind of look at it as this way: as a new employee that comes out well educated in finance, knows a lot about general finance and everything, and can provide insights on that, but don't really know the specifics of your business yet and how you operate in the nuances of your organization. And that's where machine learning really comes in. That's that new hire that's starting. It's been through training, knows your nuances, still needs quite a bit of oversight, but knows how your customers interact with you, know the intricacies of your business, why you're different than other companies, and is starting to get there, but just needs a little oversight. And then there's agentic, which is like that employee you have that's been around for 15 years, knows everything, needs little oversight, and is really just running autonomously and handling things. And the goal, if you implement all three of these in different areas in different ways, you really change your order to cash systems from a system of record to system of actions, being proactive and doing a lot of these things for you, and eliminating a lot of manual tasks that your team has to do, so they could be strategic in the nature, not manual and doing tasks that's of not as much value that the AI can actually do. So, and how the paradigm shifts a little bit, it's real time customer risk context, actionable payment signals, continuous cash flow visibility, and really closed loop decisioning in your full order to cash process. And it's really going to bring the ability to have continuous credit visibility, AI driven collections, execution, faster cash conversions, and predictable workflows, predictable working capital, and better cash forecasting to the overall model. So with that, one more survey we'd like to throw out there, and yep, Matt, if you want to take this one.
I would love to. And here, we're going to launch our third polling question that we have. Hopefully, everybody can see that at this point. It says, if you could automate one part of your credit to cash process today, what would it be? Got a couple of options out there. And boy, some people jump on this one very quickly. But we're going to give it about 30 seconds or so, and then we'll share the results. Okay, I see some people still submitting. Going to hold on for about another 10 to 15 seconds. Good. Let's end the poll at this point, and let's share the results. And the number one priority out there, collection prioritization and follow-up, is number one, followed closely by dispute resolution and root cause analysis.
All right. I mean, I thought it would be pretty close between collections, prioritization, and credit risk, but disputes actually came in up there pretty high, and I know that's a challenge for a lot of companies. I think that's where we were talking about earlier in the complexity in billing, the complexity in payment terms, and everything that's been off there, out there. It makes it harder to bill. It tends to have resulted in a lot more disputes, and then there's a lot more interaction throughout the organization that's needed in other departments to route those, follow those, see how much money's tied up into those disputes, and getting feedback from the people across organizations to resolve those. So not surprised.
Great. Tim, I'm going to stop sharing and you have the floor again.
All right. Thank you, Matt. So let's get into what it would look like, what a real agentic architecture would look like. And I stress that one of the biggest things and most important things about this process is connectivity to other systems. And you know, not to get too technical, but API connectivity into other solutions, because you're not going to, you know, having real-time access and information from supporting solutions is critical of consolidating that information. So whatever your ERP is, bringing data into that system as quickly and as accurately and as seamlessly as possible into collections, cash application, operator agents, and the growth end model is critical. But also that two-way communication, and it's not just posting cash back, but also information back into these ERPs like notes and tasks and information that and even contacts back into the ERPs, and keeping those as synced as possible is really important. And then other things like integrations into billing systems, as well as full applications built out to help facilitate communication throughout your entire organization, like Salesforce and HubSpot, keeping salespeople up to speed, and account managers and customer success managers, making sure that they understand what's going on from a financial aspect with their customers. And that's not just an integration, but full applications where they can see their invoices, past due invoices, aging reports, and then that communication where collectors can speak to them through these, CRM systems, and those supporting people in the sales front can actually communicate back into a collection system is very important. And then full integrations with your emails, because when you're dunning and communicating with customers, it becomes, and what a study we did is 80% of the time of collectors these days are spending in inboxes. So having a full integration into Outlook and Google Mail or Suite Workspace is critical. So it's bringing those emails in and actually actioning those, and AI can really help you reduce the amount of workload. And I'll get into that a little bit more. Even intercompany communications through Slack. All these integrations are critical. And then for Cash App, is really connected with your banks. This is just an example of a few, but bringing in all of your deposit summaries in so you can actually automate the cash application, and then partners as well, I think is critical. So this is what a modern look would look like. But again, having these type of communications is critical, and pulling information and sharing information throughout the organization is really important, and being able to identify all of that in one place and track it is really important to an efficient order to cash department. So let's look at the first step where a lot of AI can be delivered, and that's in your credit decisioning. AI-driven credit risk intelligence is very, very important, from online applications or onboarding of customers, real-time risk visibility, predictive underwriting and scoring of your customers, automatically adjusting, so knowing when there's changes in behaviors, and automatically looking at those behaviors and changing based on that, whether it's increasing credit lines or reducing credit risk, is really important. And having alerts that trigger these actions throughout your organization. So AI is a very important part in the credit underwriting part. That's where a lot of this starts, so they can start trading with you, but doing it right, and then understanding how to monitor them and have an AI play a big role in automating a lot of those manual tasks of reviewing, doing credit reviews, and approvals and adjustments is pretty critical. And then having AI really understand your full customer base. So segmenting those customers intelligently and having AI constantly right size those, where you can segment accounts based on risk, value, and behavior, how their performance changed them. Are they high risk, low risk, high volume, low volume, high dollar, low dollar, and then make adjustments to them and their health score based on how they're interacting and their behavior changes with you. Instantly surface accounts using AI prompts, right? Is there something I should be knowing about this right now? And how do I need to change it? real-time health scoring based on over 14 different segments. When the AI is constantly evaluating those parameters, it can change the health scores and tell you again who's predictable, who's non-predictable, who's in risk of not paying, who should be, account that you shouldn't be wasting any manual effort on because you can't change their behaviors. They're going to pay at this time, but these customers you can get money from. And then uh, flagging high risk accounts again and driving those to the top, prioritizing through the artificial intelligence which accounts collectors should really be spending their time on to get maximum return for that time. This is all where AI can really come into place and really assist uh, in that model and knowing where to spend the time and the best use of a collector's time. This is also one thing that I think is one of the most helpful components I've seen in a long time. Where I said 80% of collectors' time is spent in inboxes. Um, that can be drastically helped by artificial intelligence. And where all of your emails can be come in, the AI can read it, interpret it, understand which accounts it belongs to, which invoices it's referencing, and even which collectors should be managing those, right? So the AI can read, summarize all of those emails. So I was just into a company a couple weeks ago where there was an AR manager, and I explained this feature, and they said, "Wait a minute, you're telling me if a customer, one of my collectors, sends me an email chain and something's been escalated to me, I don't have to read through 10 emails to get caught up. I can just have AI, it just gives me the summary right at the top." Yes, that's what it can do, but it doesn't stop there. It actually identifies what the email's for. Are they trying to do a promise to pay? Are they disputing something? For example, it can automatically prompt those and take those actions and then tailor a customized response that's always learning on how you would actually respond. So it tailors the response and suggests the next best action, um, uh, to those customers and what the next best action actually is to take. So this just drastically reduces the amount of time you have to spend going through emails and trying to make sense of them and action those emails. Again, seamlessly syncs with Slack, Salesforce, HubSpot, Outlook, Gmail. So all of this increases the collaboration throughout your organization as well. And then what's really increasing in leaps and bounds is agentic workflows. I mean, workflows on anything that you want to take in your organization. These are agents that act, not just suggest. So you can create, specific strategies around different disputes or who they need to go to take actions. You're really fulfilling a full circular life cycle when you're doing this. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this um, that has a big impact. So any kind of processes or things that you want to take um, in your organization and set up a new workflow around can be created with AI collection agents. Another part of that is the cash application, and we've talked where that's where AI is being used quite a bit, and cash application can really benefit from this, where there's LLMs or AI underlining, constantly learning from any manual task you take, it learns and it can figure that out in the future based on what it's learned from you as well. But this is driving huge automation, really extracting information from unstructured data and documents, matching decoupled remittances to the payments, understanding all of that information to find out which accounts it belongs to, which invoices it should be matched to, and providing continuous feedback to the system to improve the accuracy and matching every time it sees a payment. Even understanding things like deductions and why they take these and which customers are prone to these type of disputes and why. And then the last thing is really what I was referencing earlier is ask AI anything, right? So you have all of this information in one place. You have across your enterprise, and it could be very valuable. Just ask the questions. Why did my aging bucket change? What customers accounted for that? Which invoices slipped? How can I improve it? there's a lot of information that could be gained from the data that you have, and it's hard to sift through it and make sense of it all. But the AI, you can just ask the questions of it, and even suggestions. How do I improve these numbers? What would be your best uh, suggestions for reducing DSO? Um, those type of things can be very important, and it's going to make real meaningful impacts and suggestions and actions to make those improvements. And this is, I believe, the last one. So, but I like all the surveys here. And Matt, I'll turn this over to you for our final poll.
Very good. Thank you, Tim. And let's launch our final polling question today. And the question is this: what excites you the most about the capabilities of agentic AI in the credit to cash space? And again, a couple of options out there, and love to hear from you guys. We'll keep it open for about 30 seconds or so.
Should we leave another one down, or are they just tired of hearing about agentic AI? Or
We didn't put that option out there. It
no,
is
no,
the future.
we hope not.
So important to everybody,
It really is.
especially in the finance space, right? Early adopters here. And as we saw in the first polling question, some folks already testing and looking at things. Good.
I
Give
mean,
it 10
I
seconds.
even go back, Matt, a year ago. I used AI just every now and then on simple tasks, and now it's like every day part of your day on strategies and strategic planning and all that kind of stuff. So
It
it's
certainly is.
amazing how it's changed.
Big part of our lives now. Let's share the results. So the number one answer with 48% of the folks responding, collector agent dynamically executing dunning strategies based on real-time intelligence.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things that AI can do. So everybody's used to having, if you've worked with systems before, strategies or some segmentation, basic segmentation, and static workflows. It's always going to do this on day 7, always going to do this on day 14 past due or something like that. Where agentic's really coming in is learning from behaviors and adjusting and changing those workflows to make the best strategy possible for collecting cash, not just on an overall strategy for all segmentations, but even at an individual customer basis. And so yeah, I'm glad people answered that, because learning on the behaviors, and that's ever changing on real time data and performance, and like we said, customer scoring, makes adjustments in real time to make the best possible like cadence or suggestions or action that should bring cash in the door faster.
Yeah, good. Tim, I like what you said too. It's overarching, but it's also customized down to an account level,
Yep.
right? So it's very special to an individual company. Good. I'm going to stop sharing at this point. I'm going to turn it back to you,
All right.
and you got it.
So in the home stretch here, a little bit is really how do we change these models, right? From traditional finance models to agentic finance models, and I think these things are important, but changing from managing reactively, right, to become the departments that are proactive on solving real strategic problems for an organization to optimize cash flow and working capital. Execution, delayed manual dependencies, most of those things can be eliminated. And it's on financial leaders to look on the way to eliminate the mundane manual processes and go to more execution driven through autonomous workflows. There's also the historical data, making decisions and reviews based on historical data. That's really something I wouldn't say of the past, but because historical data is always important to it, but analyzing it in real time information and how it's changing, and being dynamic in nature. So I think that's a critical point, and utilizing the AI to make suggestions on that data. Right, scalability depends on, it shouldn't be dependent on increasing headcount. You can scale organizations now. We have a customer case study where they've grown 5 times in revenue and with the same headcount, using our system. So I mean, planning for growth without adding headcount. not maybe some, but not at the scale of that you'd normally want to, right? And then cash flow, identifying risk earlier, right? Being proactive and constantly evaluating your risk, not on a scheduled every year basis or every quarter, but real time monitoring of your risk and exposure. Decisions made by fragmented data, right? That's really common now, but consolidating all that intelligence, to recommend and be intelligence driven workflows, not static workflows, using all that information to become the most efficient collections operation that you can be. I think is really the path on how you get there. And it's really just adopting it and by phases. It's not that hard to get there, and we're happy to help you. Obviously, that's why we're doing these things, but we're here to help guide you on that way as well and show you a path to how you can get to a more agentic or scaled automated collections, or order to cash process. So really phase one, it's identifying the impact customers, unifying data across your credit to cash life cycles, layering AI into all the different areas where it can help and prioritize and forecast cash more accurately and predict payments. Embed AI in all of your core workflows, right? Whether it's credit, collectors, operations, exception handling, and then deploy it over all of the data and the workflows to learn from it and then make better decisions from that consolidated AI. So our CFO, Arvind, has a pretty good quote. He said, today's finance teams are under pressure from all quarters. These include higher interest and borrowing rates, tighter liquidity, and increasing complexity in customer payment behavior. Predictive credit insights must be tightly coupled with adaptive AR automation. So we definitely believe that and look to assist in any way. Again, this is a company that I mentioned that has grown 4 to 5 times in revenue without adding headcount. Greenhouse and Kellyanne, she's been on some webinars with us before, talking about all the things she's done in her department and how she's scaled that organization. But Greenhouse has automated their collections task by 65%. Aircom's 33% reduction in DSO. Reduction in time to collect by 4Kites by 45%. And MedUS has had a 27% increase in cash flow. So it's quick to get here. Like I said, GrowFin solutions are built to be implemented very quick and get a very fast return on investment. Our implementations to most ERPs are only 2 months. And then, providing under a 6-month return on investment, some of those even less. We pride ourselves in real-time syncing. Our API syncs with ERPs. Very minimal IT effort up front. Most of it's in training on the system and setting up connectivities to other systems and training you and setting up your workflows and templates and that sort of stuff. So yeah, this is kind of an overview of where we are and how we can help you. And we'd love to do that and open it up to some questions if there are any.
You're going to cover? Okay. Q&A. Well, Tim, thank you. Great stuff today. So we do have a few questions, and I have one or two as well. First question, what advice would you give in making a business case to leadership when they're pointing towards recent investments in tech stack decisions for other tools like HighRadius or Get Paid and others, when they consider those as adequate solutions to achieve cash flow and headcount goals? How can this person sell the value of AI in complementing other tools to multiply impact? I like the way this person's thinking.
I think the best way, what we do is assist companies in developing very detailed ROI models, and we have it broken down into specific actions by what different AI components we have in our software actually provides them in efficiencies. So I think it's more than just, we put this system in to automate this point. We have, again, from the inbox standpoint on how much time it saves people just on the email integration and AI in that component to uh, reporting and generating reports and having AI make suggestions. So we've broken our ROI down into very specific categories where it saves time, not just in very high generalized areas.
Very good. So another question, Tim. With AI generated follow-ups, how close are you to fully trusting those responses, and what kind of time savings are teams actually seeing?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because we have more capabilities than we have shown to our customers yet because they're not quite ready yet, right? So even in the email functions we have right now, where the email, where the email comes in, it reads it, gives you a summary, it suggests the actions, then it will write the email, and then you have to say, yes, I like the email, and then go. We have capabilities to do that fully autonomously right now, where it can say for these level of, and like, oh, customers requested an invoice. Today I could just write the whole thing, send it, and do the whole actions. Companies kind of want that oversight right now. They feel more comfortable seeing what the AI is doing and saying, you don't have to do the whole thing. You're just suggesting, saying, yes, go ahead and do that, right? But they like that overview in government. So what we see coming down more is customers, companies, and users becoming more and more comfortable with allowing the AI to do it once they see that they're confident in what it's saying and doing. And then you can turn up your level of comfort to allow more and more of that to automatically or autonomously happen. And that's throughout the whole thing, right? I mean, that's not just the email component, but that's through a lot of different areas.
Definitely. It's that human in the loop for some of those other things that, you want to make sure that someone has reviewed it before. Let's say your strategic customers, there's a review process versus
Yep.
your nominal accounts, right? You want to, bifurcate or, compartmentalize certain decisioning
And
based
I can see
on
that.
impact.
Yeah, and I see that always being somewhat of the case, and there's going to be different levels of comfort with different levels of organizations and people. So that's why we're looking to build in the capabilities for customers to progress at their own comfort level, right? And they could say, okay, for these type of things, we're okay with it. For these type of things, we want to see it. Or for these segments of customers, we want to review almost everything. Sure, it could write it and make all the suggestions, but we still want to give the final approval. So that's where we see it going more.
Very good. So another question, if we're still pretty early in the AR maturity curve, what would it really take to get to a fully AI driven autonomous setup? That's going all the way to bright. I like that.
Again, I think that's the ultimate goal at some point. But again, it's going to be at the pace. AI is going to be there before people are going to be comfortable to do it. uh, or let it run all the components. So I think that's really going to be very quickly here. That's going to be at the level of comfort that the companies want to move at because the technology will be there.
Yeah, I think it's the risk appetite of the
Yes.
company you work for, right? It's similar to credit risk, right? It's like, how much risk do you want to take?
Yep.
I think, when you think about internal audit and external audit, especially if you're publicly traded, you'll want to make sure you have a really good governance process in place that's going to ensure and provide comfort to the executive level when you're implementing, autonomous technology.
Exactly right.
All right. Another question: does the AI tool provide cash forecasting?
Yes, that's one of the keys to our system because accurately predicting when a customer is going to pay is critical to strategy, segmentation, the health scores, everything like that. So when you can accurately predict when a customer pays, that, or if you can't, that puts them in a totally different category of unpredictability. So cash forecasting is a big part of what we do in our system, and the AI plays a big role in that. And you can track. We can show you live customer trends of how accurate it is between what we predicted and what the reality is or turned out to be.
Well, that's a big savings. I know when I used to manage AR, the forecasting took quite some time. But over time, just like everything else, you can continue to refine it. And I know AI could do that so much easier than manual machinations of all the
You can
numbers.
even break down the forecast by different segments. Am I
Yeah.
very predictable customers and high value or VIP? What is my forecast there? What is it from these segments of customers? And then combine them and look at them by divisions. Yeah, it's a lot of capabilities there.
Slice and dice, right? All right, another question. Right now, our credit and AR data feel pretty disconnected. How do you bring that together, and what kind of impact does that have on ROI and how quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I think the two work together very well, right? So, I mean, from credit underwriting going into collection strategies is key, but also feeding that information back in from their payment behaviors and credit health. And when you start seeing maybe payments start to trend longer and longer than what we predicted, and things are happening there, right? So you can start seeing those trends and feed that back into the credit tool on modeling that might trigger, oh, let's do a review. Maybe we should check this and pull and see if we're seeing trends. And again, a lot of the credits can do that automatically, so it doesn't even need our system can trigger that by a decreasing. They went from a 5 health score to a 2 in 3 months. Ooh, let's spin that information in a credit thing and kick off a credit review, and manage our exposure to that quickly and be ahead of it. Again, being proactive, not reactive.
Ah, yes, the keys to having a great organization and having the system telling you where you need to look and act. So, Tim, thank you so much today. I think you provided an incredible amount of insight to help folks tee up what's ahead and how they can best prepare for the latest, greatest technology. Wanted to just remind everyone that there is a short survey at the end. If you would give Tim some feedback, we would all appreciate that. And again, from CRF, we thank everyone that's on the call, and Tim and Grofin. We'll see you in August as well.
In Denver, yes. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for attending and for the great questions.
Thanks again, Tim.